Okay. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for having joined this call. You know, in life, whatever we get is usually a step at a time. It is the simple skills that we keep gathering that over time make us competent and useful people. I would love to congratulate you all for having made it to this point. It is one thing for someone to apply and request to be part because we received over 60 applications. And it is another for people to take time and actually be part of it. This is going to be an intense event that is going to run from 6 to 8. So far, close to 20 minutes have been utilized. I pray that we are able to utilize the rest of the 1 hour and 40 minutes to cover something great. We are going to basically cover, we are going to have a boot camp. Now, bootcamp is different from these other usual courses. In those other usual cases, you can meet and just discuss one topic. In a bootcamp, we usually combine or squeeze a lot of things and put them in one sort of a training that runs concurrently. Sorry, that runs consecutively. Let's say today, tomorrow, and another day. And this means that you guys have to be attentive and have to be willing to learn as fast and as much as you can. So if you were able to get a pen and a notebook and take a few of the notes, we shall be able to share some of these notes at the end of the training. Another thing I'd love to talk about is this training is entirely free for you guys to attend. However, at times the knowledge you've accumulated here, you may need to add it and showcase that, yes, I underwent a training on survey data collection and management. However, those who are interested in getting a certificate, you will pay only a few of 50,000 and your certificates will be processed and will be sent to you. Those who cannot make it physically, they can also come in a virtual form, scanned and sent to you. So that is left to you. In case you were interested in the certificate, I believe a member of our team has been reaching out to you guys, asking if you have interest, but in case you have interest and you didn't receive a message, you can send a confirmation message to this number. And it is on WhatsApp. You can also call directly, but you can send a message there and be able to receive, to confirm that you need a certificate so that it is worked on and you receive it as fast and as soon as possible. All right. I'll go straight to our training. Nuhum is my name. I am the chief of data products. I'm training at Ridea and Ridea Institute of Data Science. And I'm a student of Master of Data Science, University of East London. Today we are going to basically just look at survey data collection and management. Apologies, I'm actually likely to have some bit of background noise, but please bear with me. I've just realized that in my neighborhood. And in this bootcamp, we are going to cover a number of things. I'm going to first switch and come here. I'm going to share this screen again. I'm going to stop sharing first. Then I'm going to share again. And basically go where I want you guys to. I hope you can see my screen. All right. We are going to first go through what actually this course or training entails. This is going to be our schedule. So you can take time to read through these introductions, but in summary, surveys are crucial across all sectors. You see, whether it is an NGO, whether it is an institution, government or non-government, whether it is a business, surveys are carried out everywhere. You guys who are working already, you can bear me witness. I'm sure in your places you have some sort of surveys. And usually there are specific people that handle these surveys. At times it is the M&E staff, at times it is the data manager, at times it is a program manager that usually handle this form of surveys. However, we are here because we want also to get some bit of knowledge on how we can manage this kind of survey data. Now, surveys, they help us to get some bit of insights in various aspects, thereby facilitating informed decision making. So, in this training or bootcamp, we are going to have it in 3 main modules. And those modules are Introduction to Data and Surveys. In module 2, we shall look at fundamentals of data quality and ethics in surveys. And module 3, we are going to use a tool. May not be so familiar with most of you, but it is a tool that is so popular and common, especially for health people, but it can be applied in all fields. EpiCollect 5. Those who want to do CocoCollect, we shall have another training for that. But in this training, we are going to do it with EpiCollect 5. And in module 1, basically we are going to look at, we are going to have this, and we are going to have an introduction to survey data. After that, we shall look at what is data. We shall understand, survey data collection. So what data is the key term here? What is data? What is it? Then we shall have a glimpse of the data analysis process. And from there, we shall look at the different methods of collecting survey data. Then, after that, we shall go to module 2. This module 2 and module 1, they will all be covered today. These two will be covered today. So in module 2, we shall have an introduction to data quality. Then after that, we shall, thank you. We shall look at the common errors that we usually face during data collection. We shall look at how you can formulate good survey questions, because to avoid some of these errors, at times the questions, the way they are formulated, could be one of the reasons as to why we end up with errors and therefore poor quality data. Then we look at, when you go to the field, how are you going to ensure quality during the actual data collection? And after that, we shall look at the behavior of the data collector when they're in the field. That is basically the data ethics. Then module 3 that will be conducted tomorrow, we shall understand what is EpiCollect, its advantages over COBO, and the key features that they share. We chose this because it has numerous advantages that it may have at times even over the CocoCollect, but all of them are so good. We shall look at how we can design the questionnaire, user management, and other topics. Now, those that are interested in a certificate, we are not going to just give you a certificate. We shall meet on Thursday and have sort of a simple project that you guys are going to handle that is going to qualify you for the certificate. This is simple, this is user-friendly. We just want to make sure that we give out a certificate to people who are actually capable. We don't want to just give out a certificate to people who cannot actually do anything. So that is the purpose of the certificate. So, and in the end also, we are going to support you. So don't fear. This is not like an exam that when you fail this and that. So it's going to be one-on-one, and it's going to be more of the hands-on, so that you get the certificate and you can go out there and represent the knowledge that you've acquired during this training. Now we are going to go back straight to our presentation. I'm going to share the screen again. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I don't know, do you guys have any questions so far before we delve into okay. Okay, has anyone? Yes. Nakawest Juliet, yes. We are going to take 3 minutes. By 6:30, we are going to be taking questions. Yes, Juliet.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. The question I have about acquiring the certificate. So what if someone would like to acquire it, but then by the time we meet on Thursday, someone doesn't have the manners for that moment? So if you wish to have it at the end of the session, can you join that session and then maybe the money is going to come later, or you qualify to join that session when you've paid already?
Now, it would be so good if you qualify after you've paid, because we need to process them and you get them as soon as possible, latest by Friday. However, in case you want a certificate and you're sure that you pay for the certificate and you don't have the money yet, please feel free. Feel free to join, and also feel free to register and confirm that. Okay? Any other questions? If no questions, we have actually 1 minute for the question. If no, we can go straight. All right. This implies that we can go straight. Kindly reach out to that number, send a WhatsApp. Some of the staff could be here in the call that are supposed to respond to you, but immediately after the call or after this session for today, you're going to be responded to. Other questions regarding the certificate and so on can be channeled there. All right. Yes, I hope you guys are we are good to go. So I don't know, I don't want to be a dictator, though at times when you dictate, things tend to move a little bit faster, but you're also liable to making mistakes. However, I would propose that we have a session where people just get up, take some water, probably, if that is possible, and come back. If not, you grab a snack and get back. And we shall take that at exactly 7:20. So Godwin, you are still the timekeeper. So once it gets to 7:20, kindly remind us to take a break. Great.
Oh, sure.
Let's get started. Now, I'm going to request Juliet to give us a prayer, an opening prayer. Usually at the Institute, we don't do things without praying. Juliet, please pray for us as we start.
Okay. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for the session that's going to be provided by this organization. We ask for your guidance and your spirit through this session. Let each and everyone through this session understand each and everything that they're going to learn. We believe in you and we trust in you. We have prayed in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much, Juliet.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone who is disturbed by internet? Probably the connection is not so good. If there is anyone, I can turn off my video so that we increase on the bandwidth. So if you have questions, any question comes, please put it in the chat so that we can have a few minutes towards when we are taking the break for us to attend to those questions. But of course, if you feel it is so urgent, you can also raise your hand. Great. Let's get started. Yes, module 1 is we are going to focus on, we are going to have an introduction to data and surveys. Okay, that is module 1. And now in our first session of module 1, that is 1.1, we are going to have an introduction to survey data. We are here to talk about survey data collection and management. Now, you can realize that of late, we have an increase in surveys. So today, everywhere there are surveys. And there are reasons as to why there are surveys everywhere today, okay? And some of them could include, actually, you guys feel free to put some of the reasons as why you think there is an increase in surveys today. For example, when you buy anything online, some of you have used Gigi, who have used Jumia, I guess, Amazon, eBay. Usually after buying something, you will get sort of a survey. So how satisfied are you? Actually, besides even you buying something online, at times maybe you take a course online or a training. Even as at the end, we shall have a survey just to assess how this session has been. So usually, surveys are everywhere. So when you buy this kind of an item, or when you take any product that is digital, in the end you're asked, at times it is as simple as rate your experience. In the end, they receive that as kind of data, and that is a survey. So usually when you take a course online or class, we give you a teaching evaluation survey. So, and also this one, for those ones who are in NGOs and other professional worlds, you realize that these are usually handled by M&E professionals. You're carrying out, there is this project that we're implementing, and you want to test or track its progress. You do this in form of a survey. Now, others, the implementers also usually do surveys, but some of them, they don't know that these are surveys. This is a form of a checklist. You go there, let's say environmental health professionals, you're going out there to do inspection, you have your checklist. That is a survey, actually. And there are so many other things that we do or where we apply surveys. Yes, that is it about surveys, and that is one of those are some of the reasons as to why there is an increase in surveys today. Now, we could be wondering, some of us here, even myself, I could wonder, okay, what is a survey? So maybe you can also put these answers in the chat. Feel free to type something that you feel a survey is. But in simple terms, a survey is basically a research method. Now, there are other research methods other than surveys and questionnaires. And this is used now. In surveys, the point is you already know the group, or you have a predefined group where you want to administer this form of a questionnaire or a survey. And here, you don't just administer this questionnaire or survey, but rather you want to get insights on particular topics. It could be that you're implementing a project. It could be that you want to track the progress. So as you design these questions, you put particular points of interest, particular indicators that you want to measure in your survey. So basically, a survey is a research method that is used for collecting data from a predefined group of respondents, and its purpose is basically to gain information and insights into various topics. But again, besides, after you getting this data, there are also other processes that usually take place for you to be able to get the insights that you need out of this data. And we shall look at that when we are covering the part or the section for the data analysis process. All right, let's also go back to this. Why do you think there is an increase in surveys? For example, we can see everywhere you go now, people are realizing that data is actually important. Usually when I give whether guest talks or when I'm giving lectures, I tell people of this. Then it was oil. Today data is the new oil. So data, if you want to get anything, if you want to grow a business, if you want to improve processes, you have to utilize data. And that is why today people are now carrying out more surveys, even when they're implementing, okay, we want to make sure that we are not going astray. They do some sort of surveys to make sure that everything is still in check and in balance. So today also that technology has also led to more surveys, even to future surveys. For example, today we all have mobile phones. By then, people had to sort of design or develop questionnaires, then they print them on paper. Oh, that was a cost after that. Of course, the environment, the weather. So there was a little bit of so many factors that could hinder. You realize that instead of them doing 3 surveys in a year, they could reduce it to 1 because of the hardships that were engaged. But today, you know, there are mobile phones which are almost accessible everywhere. You can go collect your data offline. You don't need to have access to internet. Even in those areas which are hard to reach, where there is no internet, you can go collect the data and you're able to upload it and utilize it. So technology is one of the reasons as why today we have more surveys. Now, because people also want to strengthen customer relationships, like I said, people are realizing the worth of data. When you buy anything, a customer, a client, the producer, the manufacturer would love to know, okay, is this product, is it satisfying the customer? If not, how best can I improve it such that clients really get what they want? So this has also led to more surveys, and of course also the need to improve processes has also led to more surveys. So I'm going to request that if you have questions, you can put them in the chat, probably in case it is so urgent. Godwin, in case you find that there are so many questions that have been put there, you raise a hand and you alert me so that we can try to attend to them. Okay, so that is it about, there are so many other reasons as to why there is an increase in surveys. Now, let's say you're a boss or you're someone who is into business. I want to bring in as many domains as possible. You are into business and you have this kind of a business. So let's say you have a supermarket actually, and in this supermarket it is located in a particular area, let's say it is in Kiwatule, and now you're thinking, okay, how best can I expand to go to other places like let's say Old Kampala. You want to go to your supermarket also in Old Kampala. Now if you just wake up and feel like you've made some profits and now you need to expand and you just can't set up a supermarket in Old Kampala, you're likely to make losses. You need to go there in Old Kampala and survey the area, talk to a few people, have your checklist, admins are it, look at actually what people need in that place. You might end up taking a supermarket, yet the needs of the clients are so different. Who are the clients of the supermarket and so on. So you may realize that, okay, people here, this is a busy place. The supermarket maybe deserves to be more or less in a residential area. And some of the decisions that the data, or some of the insights that the data will give you, actually give you better ways of making your decision of whether to take the supermarket to Old Kampala or to take it to another place. So I would say this, that for everyone who has attended this training, never at any one point just make a decision based on impulse. Always, before you make any decision, make sure that it is backed up by facts, and these facts should be from the data. Okay, I hope no questions there, but in case there are questions, kindly put them in chat. All right, I'm going to continue to the next section. We've looked at surveys and so on, and we've seen that in surveys we collect data. So we have to understand, what is this data that we collect? Okay, maybe before I go, I proceed, I want to take one question, if it is there, about the intro to surveys. Any question? I'll take one. I'll take one. For proper planning, for evaluation purposes. Okay, that's great. Which means no questions. Let's proceed. At the end of this session, okay, we shall take one question. All right. Let us understand what is data. So guys, I'm giving you 10 seconds. You can type in chat. What do you think data is? Let me go back to chat and see people's responses. What do you think data is? I'm not seeing any response. Guys, please be attentive. Don't be there doing your other stuff as you attend unless it is really so urgent. Okay. Madrara George says unprocessed information. That's great. Any other person? Okay, unprocessed info. Any other? One more response, then we proceed. Information about something, raw materials. Okay. All right. You guys keep putting your answers there. Let us proceed. Yes, you guys seem to know about what data is. All the responses I've gotten there so far, they seem to be correct. Okay, people are saying raw information, that's right. Data refers to raw facts that does not contain information about something and so on. Great, that is true. So someone talked about data, raw facts. Now, yes, data is a collection of raw facts. Usually, if you just have one thing, well, it is data. But in data, we have a collection. We have so many things. Let's say I'm looking at this, at the attendance of this training, and I want to get a little bit of facts about this training for the session that we've had today. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead, administer a tool. At the end, we are going to have a form that we are going to share with you guys. Please keep on. And you guys are going to register. So we are sharing it at the end because we want to capture those who attend until the end. So, and then I'm going to capture the sex, the age, the location, the profession, and so on. So everyone is going to put to answer that form, and in the end, I'll have that form in the form of a spreadsheet. So when I have that spreadsheet, that is data. But that one, it is a collection of sex, age, profession, and so on. And those ones, when I just look at, let's say, in case you entered, and where there is age, you just entered 5, and someone will enter 10, another 20, 40, 32, and so on. Those are just numbers. So if I don't give them context, they will just remain to be numbers. They won't make any bit of or any form of sense. So, and now what I've been just talking about is, for example, when you enter your age, this age 20 and so on, it comes in form of a number. So when you enter your name, those are letters. Those are strings of letters. Sometimes you have symbols. Now, data goes beyond that. Let us go beyond the survey data. We have images, we have videos, we have audios. Now, even in App Collector and Kobo, you can collect audio data and image data and video data. Okay, so that is all data. Now, let's go ahead. Data comes in two main types. Okay, maybe to just give a recap or a summary, data is basically a collection of raw facts that comes in different forms. It can be in form of numbers, it can be in form of letters, symbols, images, videos, audios, among others. And it comes in two main types. Now, these two main types, we have what we call quantitative data. We also have what we call qualitative data. Let's look at quantitative data now. If you have any data that is derived from numerical values, let's say in case you're to measure weight of 10 kilograms, age of 35 years, you get the point. Let's say you're looking at quantity of items and so on. Anything that is represented by a number is numerical data. I hope that makes sense. However, if you don't design tools well and so on, you can have a number that is actually text in actual sense. Okay? Then also another broad type is the qualitative data. So this is not numerical data, and not this. Qualitative data describes the quality of a case, good or service, and qualitative data can be categorized. Let me give you an example. What is the color of the t-shirt that you're wearing? Black is a color, okay? If you're wearing red, red is a color. Now, red describes the color of the t-shirt that you're wearing. So it describes the quality of a case, good or service. Now we can categorize our colors. One for a code for black, two is a code for white. Of course, I don't want to go into the fact that black and white are not colors. I'm just giving examples. So maybe purple is a color, blue is a color. So for example, another example that is so common is sex or gender, male, female. There are features that define males, there are features that define females, okay? That is it about qualitative data. Now, there are broad types. Some of you may be wondering, there are other types maybe you know. Now, however, data can also be categorized or defined depending on the source, that is where data comes from. Now, the source can be a primary data source, or it can be a secondary data source. Now, when we are looking at a primary data source, here we collect the data for the very first time, and this kind of data is also original in nature. Now, usually survey data falls under this category. Usually survey data is primary data. And survey data can be both qualitative and quantitative, okay? But when it comes to the source, usually, most of the time, survey data is primary data. So we are also going to look at a scenario where survey data can be secondary data. But let's say you're going to the field, you're implementing this project, you sample out individuals to engage in the project, and in the end, you administer the questionnaire. So the data you get from them, you're getting it for the very first time. And that qualifies that data to be primary data. So secondary data is collected from existing sources, can be newspapers, websites, records, among others. Now, you can design your form and you collect data that is existing. So because you want it to come out as structured, we are going to look at that. You can design your form and go collect secondary data, but in form of a survey. So that one is also possible. All right. The third one is depending on the shape of the data. Now, data can be structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. Now, usually survey data falls under structured data. Structured data is data that is arranged in form of rows and columns. Usually you guys, you love working with Excel. Excel contains or stores structured data. You can see you have variables or features taking up the columns, and individual records or participants, they take up the rows, and a cell is the record. So that is it about structured data. Now, in most cases, we deal mostly with structured data. However, let's say organizations usually deal with structured data. Looking at, you're going there to do a survey on how the project is progressing. So I don't want to keep you guys to be blind of the fact that at times you collect qualitative data, let's say interviews and so on, okay? But in case for a survey, you go there, collect this data, ask particular questions, they'll give you respondents. At times they're already predefined, male, female, yes, no, and so on. So in the end, that data, when you get it, will be in form of rows and columns, and it will be structured data. Another type of data is the unstructured data. Now, unstructured data is unknown or is in its unknown or raw form, and it has no clear form of storage. For example, when I send you an email, sometimes you may have images, I can attach files, and there is also text that I have put there, okay? Structured data. Also, semi-structured data is usually in between structured and unstructured. So you guys may not have heard about this, except those, let's say, with a computer, with a programming background and so on. So if you're familiar with XML documents, JSON objects, and so on, those ones are basically part of the structured data. Okay, so if you have questions, kindly feel free to put them in the chat. However, I'm going to ask to give you chance to ask in these a few minutes. Maybe a question or two. Okay, people still give views about what data is. That's great. Yes, one question, guys. So should I assume that people are understanding this stuff? No question, just click on, there is a hand-like icon if you have a question. Okay, no questions, that's great. We can proceed, just a moment. All right. If no questions up to now, then we are going to proceed. Thank you. Let us now go to what we call. Now, usually when we go to collect this data in form of a survey, there is a purpose in the end as to why we collect this data. We want to make a particular decision. We want to measure progress. We want to look at a few things and here and there. So depending on the purpose for your data collection. So, and actually, if you want to get any bit of insights, or if you want to make any decisions based on the output of this data, based on the analysis results and so on, we shall have to undergo through what we call the data analysis. Okay, and that is the next section that we're going to look at. We are going to just, in simple terms, explore the data analysis process. Now, let us first understand what data analysis is. So guys, anyone with an opinion, let's add in chat. Let's add in chat 1 minute. Let's explore in 1 minute. Let's add. What do you guys think data analysis is? Okay, I don't see, guys. Type something about that. Let me even stop sharing the screen. Guys, type something about what data analysis is. Hello, waiting for answers. Okay, identifying, creating meaning out of data you have. Great. Okay, okay, that's great. Keep up. Okay, people are giving data analysis a process of, let me start from here, making sense of data, creating meaning out of data you have. Great. Identifying the data type you are going to work with. Okay. Partly, data analysis is putting overall facts into meaningful information. Great. Process of okay. Process of raw data, processing raw data into information, extracting meaningful insights, manipulating data to make it useful. Okay, finding out pattern, transforming data into useful data analysis. Okay, understanding, working with the process of organizing data to find meaning. Great. Finding pattern sequences and trends from data collected. That's perfect. Great. Process of cleaning and transforming data. Great. Process of systematically applying. Okay. So, which means you guys already have an idea. If not, you already know what data analysis is. Okay, let's proceed. That's so great. Okay, I hope you can still see. I hope you guys can see my screen. All right, let's explore the data analysis process. Now, first of all, like we said, let's first understand what data analysis is. Now, data analysis is basically like what you guys have said. Collection, when you go to, it is a survey, you go there to collect data, yes. Transformation, involving cleaning and so on. Organization of data in order to draw conclusions, make predictions, and drive informed decision making. So in summary, that is data analysis. And now, like you can see the definition, they are different stages or processes, or actually stages that we undertake during the data analysis process. And we can look at the process as one that comprises of 5 main stages. We begin usually with identify, collect, clean, analyze, and finally interpret. So during the identification, this one usually begins by recognizing the need for data analysis and usually arises from a business problem or a research question. There is something you want to understand about your product. There is something you want to understand about your project. Is it implemented the way it was planned? Is it, are the implementers doing things as expected? And so on. So that is what usually we begin with, okay? At times it can also be, it is your research topic at school. And at times that is where your data analysis arises. So that is basically it. The very first stage of the data analysis is identify. So there is a need, there is a gap that you want to cover, but for you to cover that gap, you need to have some data. So you identify. After that, you go ahead. Of course, during the identification, still you identify the tools that you should use to gather this data. You also make decisions of whether you're going to collect qualitative or quantitative, Also, you go ahead and look at the sampling method. So that is all part of the identification. However, some of them may overlap. So at times during collection or as you're about to collect, though that one may arise from poor planning. So usually in project management, data analysis at times, particular stages may follow the waterfall method of you finish one, you go to the next. However, there are moments it is iterative, and also from one point, maybe as from the clean and analysis and so on, you might go ahead and now as you analyze, you realize, okay, maybe what if I combine A and B and I come up with a new variable C, and again test that against my dependent variable? How are things coming out? So that one might come in. But usual identification, if you do proper planning, you may not have to, as you are in the field, then you remember, okay, I did not sample well and so on. So that one may also show poor planning. But if you plan well, some of these may be avoided. So after you planned well, you have your tools ready and so on, it is now time for us to go on the next stage. Okay. So, but of course, also at this stage, target population. Okay. Yes, during the planning, I said, I'll go here. You determine the target population, you still go there. Your sampling procedure or criteria and techniques, you follow the same during the collection. Nature of the data that is needed to answer research questions, as you collect that data, collect the male as male, don't say one if that is not what was agreed upon, and so on. Like I said, identify and collect at times they go together. However, if you do proper planning, you may not repeat some of the tasks that are supposed to do here at some level. So after you've gathered your data, you now have it. Now, there are also parameters that you should put in place for you to be able to gather clean data. Okay, let us note this. If you do a proper job at identification and collection, then some of the problems or issues will be avoided. So it means you'll have quality data and you won't have to go through some of these intricacies of cleaning the data. Sometimes you have missing data and you don't know what should be done. So after that, you go to clean. Now, here usually, okay, I'm going to say this, however much you can do everything perfectly, sometimes some of these ones may not be easily avoided. For example, there are lots of data quality issues that may come into your data. Now, let's all look at someone, you didn't collect this data, whoever designed the tools, you don't know anything about it. Someone is asking for your report for the data that is already existing. Usually data analysts face a lot of this. At Fidea and the Institute, we face a lot of this when you are dealing with clients' data. A client comes with data and you start wondering. In the end, one of the things you propose is you guys need a training, a serious training, because of the work that was done before the cleaning stage. So here you look for the missing values, you look out for the outliers, you look out for the nonsensical values, type errors that could have been missed at collection stage. So here you identify them and you deal with them accordingly. Now, also we are going to note that if you design your tools well, you may not go into issues of missing data. I'll give an example. We all know that every person has a sex, male or female, okay? Whether someone tells you or not, you look at them and tell, oh, let me not forget the fact that the world has transformed today. That at times you can look at a male who is actually female, but keeping other factors constant, you can always get the sex. Also, to avoid that at times, in case you don't want missing data as you design your tools, put the unknown, do not know, or refuse to answer option, such that at least at every point, you go ahead, someone does not respond to, you say refuse to answer, other than you just to skip and you don't add anything. After cleaning this data, you've identified these issues. Also, at this point at times, we do some bit of manipulation. In data science, we call it feature engineering. You might have to come up with new variables from the existing variables. You want to combine two variables and see how they play about with the outcome variable and so on. However, Cleaning, manipulation, and analysis, we call it data munging. So may be done interchangeably. So as you analyze, you realize, okay, I may need to create a new feature, okay? Or maybe somehow I was supposed to combine A and B to test it against this and that. So you may see that at times as you analyze, you keep going back to cleaning and manipulation. So at analysis, we manipulate and analyze the data with the help of statistical techniques. So these can be descriptive techniques or inferential techniques. Descriptive, you're just looking at that sample. Inferential, you want to apply the findings of the sample against the entire population. So you want now to generalize your findings and you see are they applicable to the entire population or not. So that is basically done at analysis. And after that, there is what we call the interpretation. After you've analyzed your data, usually most of the people we work with are not data professionals or are non-data based people. So you have to interpret these results for them. Now you attach the value. Now everything you did previously will be attached here. And everything, you see, you can do a great job. Let me say this, as a data analyst, you need to be a very good communicator. If you're not able to communicate whatever you did up, actually, in case the results are not reported well, then everything will cease to make sense. So this is a very critical stage of interpretation. In fact, for stakeholders to make better decisions, they are going to depend on you. They are going to depend on the analysis results and so on. So, which means this is very crucial and critical. So you can report or interpret this in form of reports, you can do charts, you can do graphs, you can do maps, among others. So in summary, that is all about the data analysis process. So still at this very stage, we are going to take questions, if any. So guys, let me expect some questions here. Okay, someone is saying, what is the best way to deal with missing data? Okay, now some of these questions can be answered with some of the future webinars. So usually missing data now, I would say first is you identify, is this missing data supposed to be missing? What do I mean here? Let's say there is a question that says, it is asking for sex, and again sex is male, and the next question is, what is the age of your first menstrual cycle? Okay, so you're interviewing, you have both males and females, and these males and females, you're administering a question that is asking about menstruation. Now, males don't menstruate. I hope you're all clear. So we expect that question to be we expect a missing observation for all participants who are males. So that is, sorry, I'm also looking at chat, so at times I get distracted. So that is basically a required missing. And also another thing, when you're looking at missing data, when you're dealing with missing data, you also identify, is there any missing that should actually not be missing? Let's say every female should have that question answered, okay? Now, you realize for some it is not answered. Of course, the data collectors might answer and say, these people actually refuse to respond to this question. However, to avoid that, as you work on the tool, make sure that at times you try as much as possible to add a question that will cater for that. Now, after identifying, is it a required missing or a non-missing? So you now go ahead and say, during the analysis now, you want to make a decision and say, am I going to include the missing observations or not? So that is a decision that is entirely upon you. Some choose to leave out the missing, others choose to report the missing as an option on its own. So basically, at times that is how you deal with it. And also, others may choose to pre-fill a missing observation with a particular option. So that is also another one. But if you have a lot of data, if you have big data, it is better you ignore the missing observations or completely, because already you have enough sample size to deal with the rest. All right, how do I analyze qualitative data? Now, there are tools for analyzing qualitative data. These include, there is Atlas TI, there is MarkQDA, there is, okay, thank you, Abraham. Guys, you can also state others that I may not state. Atlas TI, MarkQDA, there is also this one. What is its name? Guys, type it. Does it start with N? NVivo, yes. Though you can also analyze qualitative data basically with Excel. You create your themes, you create your sub-themes, then you start now looking at. Now, usually qualitative data is analyzed manually, even if you're using a software. This one you should not. So you need to be so keen and very careful when you're dealing with qualitative data. Because basically you have to at times look at some of these things critically by yourself to be able to have very good analysis. But yes, there are tools for qualitative data. I am sure there will be boot camps that will cover qualitative data analysis. So we shall look at them. Today, you can also use Python to analyze qualitative data. There is also R programming can also be used to analyze qualitative data, but also qualitative data analysis itself is an overall a thing that someone has to master. They are data analysts who are basically qualitative data analysts. Usually, there are also those ones who are quantitative data analysts. So some people specialize. However, it is also good and pertinent for you to really have knowledge of both qualitative and quantitative. I don't see any challenge in you having both. So our timekeeper, when you look at time, okay, how much time do we still have left?
We have 9 minutes to the agreed time.
To the agreed time. Okay, that's great. I think we can utilize that to cover our next, just a moment. We can utilize that to cover our next topic. Just give me a moment. I set this up for the next one. Right. Okay. Okay, those ones will be enough for us to cover the methods of collecting survey data. Methods of collecting survey data. Okay. Right. Here we are. Great methods of collecting survey data. Let me share my screen. Okay. Confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I think I can now turn off. Anyway, maybe I can leave it. My video, that's fine anyway. All right, let's look at the different methods of collecting survey data. Now, you guys, what do you think are the different methods of collecting survey data? Yes. Let's put in chat 1 minute, since we have only 8 minutes. 1 minute, actually 30 seconds using forms, okay? Any other? Thank you, Vanessa. Any other? Interviews, okay. Okay. Any other observations? Okay. Any other? Focus group discussions, Nakaba remark. Do these ones really collect the survey data for FGDs? Face-to-face interaction, okay. And so on. Okay, thank you guys. I think we can proceed. Yes, part of what you said, part of what you said might be applied when you're collecting survey data, and some of them are also methods. So let's explore. So when we are collecting survey data, there are mainly 4 types that we consider when we are collecting survey data. Sorry, 4 main types of surveys. Okay, we have telephone surveys, mail surveys, face-to-face surveys, online surveys. So I'm just talking about the types of surveys that we have. Telephone, you do it over the phone. And these telephone surveys, because everyone has access to a phone and phone numbers can be randomly generated. So even when you're sampling, it can be so easy for you. You can tend to go for the telephone surveys, okay? However, these tend to be a little bit more expensive, okay? So email surveys are unique because emails are universal. Sometimes it is easier to obtain email addresses. Now, another beauty here with email surveys is they give some little bit of convenience and also allow privacy. So if they are really sensitive questions that you want to ask, then email surveys may work for you. So, however, they tend to have a low response rate, okay? So, also times you have what we call the face-to-face surveys. Now, these are the most common survey types, okay? Now, when you say questionnaire, that is a mode of administering a survey, okay? When you say interviewing, when you're doing face-to-face surveys, you're doing interviewing. Even sometimes telephone surveys also, you're interviewing, you're making a call as you fill your phone, okay? Does it make sense? So let us not confuse this, okay? So face-to-face surveys are they have a very high response rate, okay? We say email surveys have a low response rate. You can send someone an email with a questionnaire for them to pre-fill, and people end up not filling that. But with face-to-face, at least when you meet someone and you request, okay, if you do very good rapport, there is no way someone will not give you the data you need. However, face-to-face surveys are the most expensive because you're likely to cover a large geographical area. Let's say even if you do a survey in Kampala, there are 4 divisions. You know you have to go in all the 4 divisions. Each division has parishes or wards, and each ward villages. So you may have to sample, and again you have to. So it is really expensive. You have to hire research assistants who are going to go out there, collect this data. You have to train them. All those are resources. And also in terms of time, it is also expensive. So online surveys, usually, let's say you have Google Forms, today Kobo, Epicollect 5, they all support online surveys. These are cheaper, they are so convenient and also allow privacy. However, they also carry a low response rate. Now, don't confuse email and online surveys. However, today, email surveys tend to reduce because of the online bit. Or if not, at times even you send an email that just contains a link that is going to require someone to have internet, fill that form, and of course submit online. So those ones at times may overlap how they happen. So however, telephone surveys, at times maybe you're interviewing someone who's in the US, but you want to have this kind of interaction, and again you have it. Now also talking about face-to-face surveys now. Sometimes you have a Zoom call, okay? I think we can talk about this. Sometimes you may have a Zoom call, and in this Zoom call, you're interviewing people in real time, and it is more or less face-to-face. yes, that is also possible. So you can have a face-to-face that is always a little bit embedded with, if you don't, you can confuse it to be online. Now the difference is, if the reciter is taking lead, you're asking someone and they respond. Okay, let's say it is a Google Meet call like we are here, and you're interviewing a participant as you fill your form. So if you, the researcher, the data collector, are taking lead, then that may be face to face. And also, if there is a video on, that may be a little bit of a modified face to face. So, but online, you give someone the link and they fill the form for themselves. So I hope that makes sense. So face-to-face surveys, at times you go there, observation, you just look, even if you have a participant before you, face-to-face, but you just look and fill your form, okay? Face-to-face, you're interviewing people, you're asking them questions, okay? Questionnaires, still you have your tool, and again, you're meeting the participant in person. So let's not confuse this, okay? Now, when sometimes you have to, when you're choosing the particular method for you to take, there are some bit of considerations that you have to take to have, or things for you to consider before you choose a method that you're going to use to collect your data. So one of them, questions to ask. Now, if you're asking personal questions, if they are more personal, because of the privacy, and people may are likely either not to respond or to give you wrong answers, then you can opt for email and online surveys. Now, 2 is the best way of getting hold of the population. Now, not everyone has an access to internet. Therefore, email and online surveys may not work. Even if you're not able to be in the same locality with the respondent, then rather maybe you opt for, our time is up, you opt for probably a telephone survey for you to be able to interview them. Now, 3 is the amount of time and money you have. So if you have both time and the money, then face-to-face is the best. Go out there. After all, it has the highest response rate, and also more likely to get more quality data, and people are likely to give you the correct answers to the questions that you're asking. So those are the 3 main considerations. The first one is the questions that you ask. We said if they are private or personal questions, opt for mail or online surveys. If you want, what is the best way you want to get hold of your population? Now, like we said, if you want to get the best out of this, you may not really opt for, yes, Godwin, just give me a minute. Sorry for poor time management. You may not really opt for mail or online. Then you have to go for telephone or face-to-face. And finally, if you really have the time and money, please, why not go for face-to-face? It has the best of all. And of course, let us take a little bit of a note here. Each of these surveys has strengths and weaknesses. Sometimes there is use of more than one survey method to reach a target population. Okay, let's hope that makes sense. You can apply face-to-face and online, depending on the particular clients that you want to meet. Maybe you're dealing with stakeholders. This CEO or MD or executive director does not really have all the time. You can say, okay, doctor, in case you have some time, please, there is this form. The link is here. You can kindly go and fill. Maybe he's about to go to bed and says, oh, there is this survey that I have to attend to. Then you can go ahead and they can go ahead and fill it. So feel free to use more than one method because it can generate you what you need. Researcher needs to assess which type of a survey best gets out of the information needed, balanced by which method can be completed given specific time and budgetary constraints. Now, however, face-to-face is really the best. Sometimes you don't have the resources to do that face-to-face. So if that is the case, kindly opt for another method. Thank you so much. We are going to welcome questions. If not, we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to look at the fundamentals of data quality and the ethics in surveys. Okay? But for now, let's take questions, guys. 1 minute, then we take our break. That is going to take probably 5 minutes, then we come back. Yes, Godwin, your hand was up. Okay, yes, Godwin.
I simply was reminding you of time.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, guys, any questions from you? Okay. You guys, either I'm a very bad teacher or I'm a very good teacher. Just two extremes. If not, I'm teaching a very brilliant class. Okay, Senavulia.
Thank you so much, Papa, for your time.
Okay.
We will appreciate what you've done for us. So far, I don't have any question, but I would like to know if it is possible to have the presentation shared to us, Papa, for future reference, Papa. Thank you.
All right. This I'm going to ask for some bit of permission, but yes, we shall have the presentations. No worries. No questions? Let's take a break at exactly 7:28. Are 4 minutes too many? Probably yes. Okay. Let's take 4 minutes, 7:28. We come back, cover the next part, and yes, call it a day. Thank you, guys. Please don't run away. Some of you may run away and don't come back. Okay, guys, I think it is time we hope you guys took a glass of water for each of you. And I hope you're all back. So we can now proceed with our next module. So I'll be sharing my screen. What did I share? I should have shared the wrong one. Okay. Right. Okay, I'll turn off my screen. So, okay. So, thank you guys for being a part of this, and also for waiting for those minutes that were just there in Kamoli. So I request that we proceed on our second module, that is fundamentals of data quality and ethics in surveys. Now, I'm going to ask a question. When someone says data quality, what comes into your head? Let's take 30 minutes, 30 seconds to post this in chat. So when someone talks about quality, what comes into your head? Waiting for answers. Kindly, guys, when someone talks about quality, what comes into your head? Okay, standard work. Thank you, Wilfred. Anyone else? Pure. Okay, Alex Akaka. Any other? How rich your data is. Okay, thank you, Vanessa. Who else? Error-free, good work. Okay, accurate, great. Looking out for accuracy and completeness. That's great. Okay. So another, okay, maybe the next one I'll ask when we have reached there. Okay, let's continue. Now, we are going to have an introduction to data quality. Yes, you guys, what you gave is correct. So generally, data is considered to be of quality if they are fit for their intended use in terms of, someone is hand up, sorry about that. So data is generally considered to be of quality if they are fit for their intended use in terms of operations, decision making, and planning. That is Tom Redman, 2008, made that statement. So, and therefore here we can describe data quality as the ability of data to serve its intended purpose. Now, for us, quality ensures that for us to ensure quality, we have to make sure that the process of data capture, verification, and analysis is of high standard. We should make sure that data is free from errors as much as possible. Data management process is of a high standard. Data reflects true performance. Data meets reasonable standards for reporting. Data is complete, precise, consistent, as management needs and resources permit. So, therefore, that is it. Those are the objectives of us implementing quality procedures. Okay, and now quality data can cost us if you don't have quality data. Poor quality can lead to loss of credibility in the system. If you're a company, a data management company, and you go out there and you collect weird data, then there will be no trust in you. You're recruited as a research assistant to collect data. If you bring poor quality data, you will not be recruited the next time. And of course, lost revenue. This costs companies billions. Poor quality data costs billions because you end up making wrong decisions. If you don't have quality data, you won't be able to make a decision that will be able to inform the right, or that will be able to lead you to taking the correct path of action. Extra costs for you to rectify these issues. Let's say this cost can be in terms of time, in terms of money. You have to do a lot of cleaning and so on. You have to hire an extra person to go ahead and purify this data and so on. And of course, it can also lead to customer dissatisfaction if you are a company that delivers this to clients. Our clients may not really be satisfied with your services. And also, if you're a company that wants to check for the satisfaction of the client, if you don't have quality data, of course, in the end, you won't be able to make your clients happy. Now, talking of quality, data quality, now we usually have real world. Let's just have a scenario. And this is where activities are implemented. And these activities are designed to produce quantifiable results. Now, usually we have the information system. So you go out there in the real world to get this data. And this data, in the end, you put it in the information system. This can be a system like Kobo, like Epicollect 5, where you collect and put this data. So this information system, actually, we assume that this represents activities by collecting the results that were produced and map them in a recording system, okay? And this should, in the end, represent the real world. And now, when we come to data quality is how well the information system, this side on the right, represents the real world. So the activities that are implemented, how well are they represented in the information system? Okay, and for us in the real world, we have on the side real world. For us to be able to represent that in the information system, we need to have accuracy of the data completeness. We need to have validity of this data. We need to have reliability, timeliness, precision, and integrity. So if you have these in place, then the information system or the real world will be represented by the information system. I hope that makes sense. Let's just look at them one by one. Usually we call them the dimensions of data quality. Accuracy or completeness. Now, this is the level to which data represents the real world scenario and confirms with a verifiable source. So, in case we interview the female, the information system should be fed in female. In case the age was 20, it should be having 20. In case 5 projects were implemented, it should be having 5 projects implemented. And that is what we call the accuracy. And now for completeness, we look at, you have this entire form of 50 questions, and we have 40 of them are must or required questions or parameters. And now, if all the 40 really have the responses that are needed, then we can say your data is complete. Otherwise, some people might return questionnaires that have missing data or incomplete data. So you're tasking the data analyst to do extra work that should have been avoided at collection stage. Validity signifies the value attributes that are available for aligning with the specific domain or requirement. Assurance that we measured what we intended to measure. So for validity, is your data valid? Okay, that can be in terms of the time. Of course, we can talk about timeliness later on. Is it still valid? You're assessing performance in 2023. Don't please go back and look at records of 2022. Then that data will not be valid. Validity also means you're supposed to interview people in Kono, not people in Kampala. So if you go ahead and interview people in Kampala, your data will not be valid. So at times also inform terms of the expiration date. Maybe you're looking at data within a particular period, like I said, if it is 2023, don't look at 2022 and so on. Consistency or precision. So in case we are to interview the same people, you interview them as Gideon, I also go and interview. Am I able to get the same results? Are we able to hit the same spot? So that is consistency. Reliability, are we able to have the same quality over and over? Are we able to rely on your data? Are we able to trust your data? So that is it about reliability. And of course, timeliness, we are supposed to make particular decisions within a desired time period span. So as you go there to collect this data, have this at the back of your mind. If you're supposed to interview 10 people, try as much as possible to reach the number that you're supposed to have. And of course, integrity, this gets back to the person. You've got to be true to yourself. This is just the truthfulness of the data. There are risks of data being manipulated for personal or political reasons. When we talk about the mango tree, people just go out there and sit somewhere and they just feed in data or information the way they want. So that is wrong. So, and of course, there are also some bit of common quality issues. So in case you have questions on the dimensions, kindly ask. So quality issues, we've looked at them before: missing values, outliers, nonsensical values, type errors. Let's look at these ones, guys. Be careful. We usually make a mistake here. So under missing values, these are basically, for example, like I gave an example, sex is not supposed to be missed. Someone comes with a questionnaire without sex. That is a missing value. Outliers, usually, maybe you're looking at age ranges. So an outlier basically is sometimes can be, so they need to be assessed well at the analysis stage. So but at times, you're looking at most of the participants are within 30 to 50. However, you see a 90-year-old, okay? Then you start wondering, where has the 90-year-old come from? So that is part of the outliers. If not 30 to 50, then you see a 10-year-old. Now you need an extra or a keen eye to be able to look out for this and say, okay, guys, are you sure this is supposed to be this? However, there are things we can put in place to ensure that we don't have these issues. Nonsensical values. Sometimes you're looking at a range. So nonsensical values are values outside the desired range. You're interviewing youth 12 to 35 years, but you have a 50-year-old. That one is not a youth. So that is a nonsensical value. So that is a common quality issue. And another one is about the type error. Sometimes type error might be you're supposed to design this tool as, then age may be supposed to be a numeric field that is supposed to capture only numbers, but you design it in a way that it captures letters. Then someone puts 50, instead of putting 50, they put 50. So that one is a type error quality issue. So if there are questions, I'll welcome them. For now, concerning just that, what we've just covered, see people are still telling us about standard and so on. If you have,
let's come again over the type errors. I didn't get it well.
Okay. So type error one can be, it can come from the way tools were designed, okay? And instead, let's say you're dealing with an electronic data collection tool, or where you're entering the data, you put a field that is meant to capture, let's say like age. Age is a numeric value. You end up letting it capture also text values. So someone enters 50 as 50. So we are also going to look at them later on, transposition and so on, okay? So where you expect a numeric value, someone puts a what? A text value, okay? That is it about the type error. Yes, Senabria. Moniro.
Thank you so much. My question is about on the previous presentation, common quality issues. I didn't get it well between outliers and nonsensical values. I failed to have a difference between those two.
Okay. Now let's get it like this. Nonsensical values are values that are outside the desired range. For example, you're getting data, you're collecting a data from the youth, or you're collecting data from children under 5 years. And again, you see a 6-year-old. that is a nonsensical value. It's not an outlier. 5 and 6 are not so far away from each other, but this is outside the desired range. You're collecting that among the youth. If you define youth as 12 to 35, a 36-year-old is a nonsensical value. However, outliers, those are values that are way far away from the common range of the data. Let's say you have most of your participants are aged 30 to 50, but you find a 90-year-old. That one may not be nonsensical. Maybe, yes, you did not have a range, you did not have an upper limit. So you have a 90-year-old. So when you're doing analysis, you may have to either make a decision of whether to include them or not, because at times you may find that 90-year-olds and 30-year-olds, they are likely to have different behavior towards particular things. So yes, does that make sense, Senamuni?
Yeah, it is clear, Papa. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions? If not, we are going to proceed to the to the next one. So in this one, we are going to just talk a little bit more about these common errors that we get. So now, the first one is, now how do they come? Common errors during data collection. When you're collecting data, you're more likely to commit the following. So you have to be very careful. One of them is the transposition. This is basically interchanging positions. So you have to be very careful, because as you collect data, you may not trace this, okay? These are very common, especially at the early stages of data collection. People are just getting used to the tool and so on. However, they can be avoided if you pre-test the tools well. You know that pre-testing, usually before you go to collect the data, you may need to pre-test your tools. Okay, that is transposition, interchanging the position. 39, you end up writing 93. 50, you write, or 51, you write 15, and so on. Also, if this data is supposed to be within a particular range, let's say you're interviewing 30 to 50, and you track, or you you control for that, then you can avoid these kind of errors. But if there is no that control, then you're more likely to have them. And at times you may end up having outliers. That is why data cleaning is very, very critical. Copying errors, sometimes maybe you're getting data from records and so on. You get 1 as 7 sometimes, especially this is also common if data was collected on paper. Someone wrote 1 as 7, someone wrote 0 as O, and so on, 5 as A. So you're not able to see really what that is. So those are also errors. These are keyboard errors usually, and they also tend to reduce as the survey progresses. Okay, coding errors. Sometimes there are particular codes we assign. Let's say male should have a code of 1, female should have a code of 2. At times you may not define that from the start, and people just end up putting whichever codes they want. So that one can also come. And also, maybe there can be a misinterpretation of the codes. Someone understood 1 for female, 2 for male, and they end up entering wherever they interview female, they put a 2. Never male, they put a 1. So at times, if there are not checks, you may not be able to trace that. So these are common issues when you're collecting data that you're likely to commit. So, and this, to avoid it, you should code your questionnaire and pilot it prior data collection. So if you pilot and also you code them well, you may not, you will skip these errors. So routing errors. Now, to route is to bring in something foreign that should not be there. So an interviewer may also ask wrong questions, okay, that may end up making the respondent to give wrong answers. And at times, this can be caused by poorly designed questionnaire or badly trained data collection staff. So you have to train your staff well when you're going to do data collection. Don't ever do any data collection before a training. Consistency errors, 2 or more responses are contradictory. At one point, the you ask a respondent one question, they say, yes, I have never been pregnant. But again, you ask another question and they tell you, okay, before the death of my first child, God forbid. So those are contradictory responses. So, caused by badly designed questionnaire or badly trained data collection staff. At times, you may ask the questions wrong. The participant did not understand what you asked, and you end up causing these bit of consistency errors. Range errors, collecting data that is outside a probable range. What the other side we called nonsensical values. You're likely to get this, okay? And times, if you don't have very good tools, usually this can be avoided during if you're to use electronic means. At times you can avoid this, but also you need to pre-test your tools well. You need to train the staff well to understand, okay, we need to get this data, this and that. If they're using paper, put that in brackets as a note that, okay, the range should be between this and this. And of course, you have to re-emphasize that, and so on and so forth. So we are going to look at how best we can avoid some of these ones in the future lessons. So we've talked more about survey questions, wrongly designed questionnaires, and so on. The way you design your questions might actually lead to either poor quality data or quality data. Now let's look at them. When you're designing your questions, your survey questions, there are 7 tips that you may have to follow. There could be more, but I'm going to just focus on 7. One of them, make sure that your question is interpreted in a consistent manner. What do I mean? Let every participant be able to understand that question the same way. I'll give you an example. Okay? So, an example can be maybe you're trying to assess an accident and the severity of this accident. So every person might get the severity differently. So be able to make sure that you define what severe is with an example. Okay? So if your severe is injuries that led to death, so have you ever gotten or been involved in a severe accident? That is where an individual lost their life. Okay, if that is your meaning of severe. But however, you can say, have you ever been engaged in a severe accident? Someone might have been riding a bicycle and they fell off, and to them that is severe. Okay, and so many other examples. So be sure that your question is interpreted in the same manner. People are willing to answer the question. Now, make sure that you ask the question in a way that people will be able to, or will be willing, that will not demotivate anyone to give you an answer. Let me give you an example. You may ask someone if they are poor. Are you poor? Do you know you get? So if you ask anyone if they are poor, that question may not be one that is appetizing for anyone to answer, but rather come up with parameters of what being poor is. Maybe, have you ever taken a week struggling to find what to eat? You see, how you phrase this question might make a difference in how the response will be given to you. So make sure that also the questions are answered truthfully. There are those questions that may seem to be so good. I usually give an example. If you meet a group of university students, to them having a boyfriend may be cool, okay? So if you ask them if they have a boyfriend, just straight, they are likely to give you an answer that you want. So make sure that questions are answered truthfully. Make sure there is a known answer to the question, unless otherwise. Should not be double-barreled. Now, what are double-barreled questions? Are questions that may have 2 answers, most likely. Maybe you guys can type in chat some of the questions that you think may have 2 answers. Double-barreled. Avoid biased terms or wording, like I said. biased terms, like I gave an example and people are willing to answer the question. So make sure that the terms are not biased, and of course pre-test the questions before you go for data collection. So those are some of the few tips you can follow when you're designing your survey questions that can also help you to really have quality data. Okay, any questions before we proceed? I see we are running out of time. All right, any questions? I see no questions. Let's proceed to data quality during actual data collection. So we've been looking at when you're designing tools and so on. How about when you go to the field? Okay, what is it? So there are a few aspects we can consider. One of them, we need to have a data collection training before people go out there to do actual data collection. So this is a general training on the data collection tools, the tools that you're going to use, ethics, how people should behave while in the field, informed consent. You people know about this. You cannot go and collect data without an informed consent form. People need to know that they have a right to participate or not to participate, and they can live at their will. So you need to train people on that and their overall behavior during data collection. So data collection tools can be reviewed, translated, and modified during the training. So as you train the staff, they can actually propose better ways of even phrasing the questions or better options depending. So that is one of the advantages of that training. Now, two, you need to pilot the tools. Okay, this is recommended, is highly recommended, highly, and in fact, you should make sure that data collectors are part of the piloting team. Don't pilot the tools on your own and then you just give the data collectors to go out there and collect the field for you, the data for you. But rather, this will actually enable them to get to have some bit of familiarization with the tools, as well as identify any issues that may arise at early stages. So rapport. Now, guys, when you go out there in the field, this is very, very, very crucial. Rapport is the degree of comfort in between the interactions between the researcher and the participant. Now, rapport is that connection you create before you start collecting the data. So you go there to the field, the rapport you build is that connection that you build with the participant. Some of you go out there and just want to start asking the question, but how do you create a good rapport? You need to have a very great introduction. You greet the person, you introduce yourself, you tell them your name, you tell them the purpose as why you're collecting the data, okay? And also, some of you, let's say this is common for females, culture of where you're collecting the data matters, okay? So some of these people, you find a 60-year-old and you're greeting them while standing. Maybe it is a Uganda culture. You're more likely to be rejected or not to be given the data or the correct data because someone will look at you as someone disrespectful. So you have to consider the culture where you're going to collect the data. Now, the informed consent is also another key aspect. Now, you have to explain everything explicitly to the participant and answer any questions related to the survey that you're engaging this participant in, okay? You have to inform them that they have a right to agree to take part in the survey without being coerced, okay? Otherwise, you are likely to have compromised data. So you have to explain everything and also inform them that, yes, well, you have a right not even to respond to some questions and so on. If you don't do that and you just coerce them and they join, sometimes they can even get tired and at one point maybe they just pull out without, or if not, they just suddenly just answer for the case of finishing. And another key aspect that is key when you are in the field collecting data, always triangulate. So triangulation, do not just rely on one source of truth, find multiple sources to help you verify your findings. That can be, you go to a school to collect data, don't just let the teacher to tell you, okay, registers are here. Take an extra step of going there and you count the numbers physically for yourself. So that is triangulation. Probably there is a learner who came after they registered them. So you're likely to miss them out if you just take what the teacher will give you in the registers. So triangulation is really very, very crucial when you're out there in the field collecting data. Probing is another key aspect. Now, this involves use of specific words or other interviewing techniques by an interviewer to clarify or seek elaboration of a person's response. Now, someone, you may ask them a question, you try to probe, okay, is there any more? Maybe you're asking for particular reasons as to why they do particular things. Is that all? Maybe they are giving you answers. You can just give, you can even give them the non-verb of shaking the head and so on. So that is probing, making them to give you more information or to seek out for more information or elaboration on a particular response. This is very key and also very important, especially when people are collecting qualitative data. Usually necessary when respondents provide incomplete or irrelevant answers to the question. And of course, now this very, very key one, supervision and data checking. The person who is responsible for doing the supervision, every data collection team has a supervisor. Now, at the end of each day, make sure that you look at these tools, okay? Now, this can help you to identify issues and clarify them when they are still fresh in the data collector's mind, okay? It is always recommended that the data collectors are divided into teams and each team assigned a supervisor responsible for overall quality of the data. So that is it. Now that we are running out of time, I'm going to just go through maybe any questions. Okay, someone said rapport, a close and harmonious relationship in which the people and groups concerned understand each other's feelings or ideas and communicate with them. Okay, that's right. So any questions before we go into our next, that is data ethics, and that should be our last one for this evening. Okay, if no questions, let's just proceed. All right. Now, what is ethics? You can type in chat. I'll take 5 minutes or so to just go through this as quick as possible. So what is ethics, guys? We've talked about it even previously. Well, how do you understand ethics? Juliet. Okay, Hamza. Code of conduct, okay, thank you, that's right. Any other person? If no other person, okay, Miri. I see Miri said moral principles that govern the survey, great. Guidelines followed when conducting research, great. Moral principle, discipline concerned with what is morally good and bad. Behavior, agreed, no. All of you guys are right. Now, basically, ethics are rules or standards governing the conduct of a person collecting, collating, reporting, or utilizing data. This is in general. So, for a data collector, these are basically do's and don'ts of what you should do in the field, okay, during the data collection. And basically, ethics are just do's and don'ts. So, common ethical issues that we face during data collection, lack of informed consent. Some of you don't, people just go there out there in the field and they don't have an informed consent. Others even deny the participants their rights. That is wrong. So participants need to have enough information about data collection effort to enable them to make informed decisions about their participation. Keep that at the back of your mind. Failure to protect privacy. Some of you collected data. Let's say this is an HIV related, and you meet someone somewhere and you start telling people that one is HIV positive. That is wrong, okay? Now, you also need to inform participants that how much privacy they can expect about their responses. You have to convince them, and also you as the data collector, you have to make sure that you keep privacy. So key points here are confidentiality and anonymity. Now, what we mean here, when you're explaining privacy, tell them that their responses will be kept confidential, and even when you're analyzing the data, you won't consider their names and so on. And usually also the data collection tool will not add private information, that is name and so on, we may not add it. So even as you're analyzing this data, this should not be included. So misrepresenting or falsifying data. Now, entering information other than that collected by given by participants. Some people sit under the mango and do the mango tree. So another, that is another way. Now, there are ways that can help us to ensure data are ethical. One of them, determine if participants at any risk and find possible ways of reducing this risk. Participation in data collection efforts should be voluntary. Explain the participants' level of privacy expected and maintain their privacy. Discuss with participants how you plan to use their data. Get a written overall informed consent as applicable. Know and follow cultural norms. Okay, and also when presenting results, now we are looking at beyond now the data collection. Make sure that you explain the limitations, have a signed code of conduct of all individuals assisting in the data collection, collation, analysis, and reporting. Now, for example, at Rida Institute of Data Science, we have a code of conduct everyone should follow. Every organization should have that when you're going for anyone that is dealing with the data. Do not discuss an individual's answer. Provide feedback or findings to the participants and the communities. Now, after collecting this data and you go out there and you analyze it, most people just go ahead and publish and do whatever they do. They don't even take an extra step of going back there to inform them of what their finds were. So kindly, when you do that, you have to go back and give feedback. You have to use blind data. Do not collect participant names. These ones you may collect them on the data collection, on the consent form, to the informed consent form, and this, however, in the analysis, kindly don't include it. Subject has a right to refuse to participate in data collection. They have a right to refuse to answer particular questions. You have to inform them of their rights, okay? And now remember, ethics apply to use of pictures, success stories, among others. What we mean here, to take a participant's photo, you need to ask if they are fine with it. Otherwise, you will not be, if you don't do that, that will not be observance of the ethical norms when you're dealing with data. So guys, thank you so much. That was it. Any questions that are available? Tomorrow we are going to have a little bit of this. And like we said, those that are going to have certificates, kindly reach out. Kindly reach out. Sorry about that. You'll have to reach out to, okay, someone is still saying, talking about ethics. You'll have to reach out. You send us a WhatsApp, 200903582 for those who need a WhatsApp, but also visit our website. Now, when you visit our website, reads.ac.ug, you will see an icon, a WhatsApp icon at the bottom right. You can send us a WhatsApp there. Okay, you can speak to CDT straight away, or you can just check out for the clarification on that. Kindly, there are two possible ways of you sending feedback. Okay, I'm taking questions now. Senabria, yes? Please unmute and talk.
Thank you, sir. Sir, suppose we give an example. As we can use a scatter plot. What do you use to check from the principal values we have offered each individual system?
Come again. Your question is not so clear. Could you come again?
Okay, when we are checking for outliers, can you scatter plots? Suppose we have a larger data set. By
When you
then,
check outliers,
yes, we can. Okay, this is what I know. We can use scatter plots to see those values that are so high or low from the rest. Then how about when we want to check for numerical values and we have a larger data set? How do we do to avoid going into each individual's response?
so you want to check for nonsensical values if you have a large data set. Really, to a data analyst, that is really so easy for them to check. You just run a summary statistics of that variable and you're able to see that. So it is really so easy.
Okay.
It is a matter of running the statistics. You look out for the minimum and the maximum, then that can also tell you. So there are really several ways. Those ones are beyond the survey, the data collection. They are at the analysis stage.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Hamza.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Thanks for presenting.
Thank you too.
Mine is about ethics. Ethics,
Okay.
you have talked about about all that, but you have not talked about feedback. Because most of the challenges when we are collecting data,
I've not talked about the
feedback.
feedback, okay?
Because when we are collecting data, mostly from our communities, the clients sometimes they ask us, why don't we go back and inform them for the data we took? Was it genuine? Has it changed anything? Therefore, when you go the second time to collect the data, they ask you, why don't you give us our feedback? Is it denied? Is it our responsibility? Or we don't have that right? Is it also
Okay.
part of the thing?
Sorry, Hamza, we talked about the feedback, provide feedback of findings to the participants and communities. Maybe you skipped that. But yes, the point you're raising is really critical. Kindly, you should always go back and give feedback. You can see that point, the last one that I put there. But thank you so much for that clarification. Guys, feedback is key. You see, some of us may behave like it is our last time to collect data. You will go back to that very same field and you will see. Some people may not give you information the next time. All right, any other? Otherwise, we are 12 minutes away. So if there are no... Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think one of the errors that we normally, maybe we need to think of is about the time. You see, when you are collecting data, you sometimes given the number of respondents that you should take in a what? In a day. So sometimes the cause is that people rush to get the what? The target number. So it is always something that brings problems in the era when we are collecting data. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Now, these are some of the things that you have to agree upon. You have to agree upon. You see, when you pretest the tool, it can tell you that, okay, it takes 5 minutes for me to interview a respondent. So how many can I interview a day? So usually the problem comes from poor planning. We don't plan well, we don't pretest, we don't know the time allocated that should be allocated for every participant. So we end up overly assigning and raising our expectations, which is wrong. So you should leave when you not least I'm able to manage 10 participants. Okay. And yes, that is that can also help. Yes, any other questions, guys? If there are no other questions, then we might have to end it here. Otherwise, we thank you so much for participating. Kindly come back tomorrow. We see how we can design the forms. And also those who are interested in certificates, kindly reach out. Nakawe prayed for us last time. This time around, I'm going to request a volunteer to pray, and we close the session. Okay, any volunteer?
Let's pray.
Okay.
In the name of the Father and the Holy Spirit, amen. God, our loving Father, we thank you very much for bringing us together. Though we are at a distance from one another, otherwise we would have been physically. We thank that you have given us, our facilitator, no, very good information that he is giving us. We thank that you keep him, you keep all of us, so that we meet tomorrow and we complete the course on Thursday. We pray this through Lord our Christ. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We meet again tomorrow, same time. Kindly keep time. Tomorrow at 6 sharp, we shall be starting. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, good night. Good night. Thanks a lot.
Bye bye, guys. Have a good night.